that one got it. What turned into one ended up being 3 of them. I was following one around for, I don't know, a minute or so. Hit anchor lock here so we don't go anywhere. It's funny because I was just targeting one specific fish, and this is a good one. Wow. I chased him for probably, I don't know, 50 yards, not very far. I don't get too carried away with chasing one individual fish. I'll throw on them once or twice, and you really have to gauge a fish's mood. If you can't gauge a fish's mood now with forward-facing technology, with your first 2 casts, 3 casts tops, it's almost like just go move on, you know? So I chased this one a little bit just because I didn't quite hit him right where I wanted to the first time or two. And then there was 2 of them, and they just materialized out of the woodwork, really. Even with forward facing, it's amazing. Like, you'll be watching a fish, you know, and this is a nice walleye right here. We're targeting walleyes today. It's amazing, you know, you'll look at one fish for a little bit, and then all of a sudden what turns into one ends up being 2. I gotta get back here and grab a net. We're getting pretty close here to netting this fish, I think. But like I said, I had just followed this one for, I don't know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And when I caught this one, there's 3 of them all together. Where they come from, I don't know, but it's amazing. Fish just materialize. Yeah, that's a large animal right there. Holy crap. Okay, that is a big one. Holy cow. Good gosh. Oh, look at the size of that thing. Is a tank. We'll come up to the front. Whoa, it fills up the net. Oh, okay, that is getting very, very close to that 30-inch caliber fish. Yeah, I don't think he is. I think he's about 20, 28. But just one little single hook and a little leech can be like unbelievably deadly for summertime walleyes, for just walleyes any time of the year, really. But it's beginning of July right now, and these fish are moving out into deeper water. We'll let her go. Oh, there she goes. But the water temperatures, if you look up here, we're looking at, you know, they're pushing 70 degrees. So with that being said, these fish are very much so post-spawn, but they're right now just starting to fill up on forage that's out in the main lakes. They're starting to hit main lake points, main lake humps, things of that nature, break lines. But right now we're just looking at some pretty rudimentary structure. You know, we're on Leech Lake right now. It's just got some amazing fish. It's a great fishery. And today I'm just drop shotting around. This is a VMC. This is of the red line. I've got a ton of confidence in this little setup. And I'm just gonna go through a few things that I like to do to catch walleyes, whether you're in open water, off of main lake humps, points, weed lines. I'm just gonna go through a few techniques that, you know, which include corking, some type of vertical jigging, such as like a jig and wrap. This is a cool little bait. This is a jig and shadow wrap. There's a lot of, well, Rapala makes a number of vertical jigging baits nowadays, and this is a good one right here. Probably one of my favorites is the, you know, the number 9, number 7 jig and wrap. For the fish that I see up high, like I mentioned, a moving bait, whether it's a little crankbait like that, or a little jerk bait, or even a big jerk bait. Sometimes they really prefer a big jerk bait. I will switch this between either a swim bait, a jerk bait, or a crankbait, but I'll always have one of these tied up no matter what. You know, there's always a chance when you're live scoping around, you see a fish way up in the water column, that's a good bait to hit them with when they're up high in the water column. But as you could see, I was drop shotting that particular fish, You know, I've got a 3/4 ounce. I know it might seem heavy to some, but 3/4 ounce is my favorite for doing this. This is kind of more an open water tactic. And then, you know, I've got about 8 or 10 feet of a good fluoro, and then paired with some braid, good 7.5 foot rod with a big arbored spool. I really like, most of my spinning reels have decent size arbored spools with the exception of one. I really like a decent size arbor on those. It's just line management for me is the big thing, castability, things of that nature. One of the things about hooking up a leech that I have noticed is you want that leech to be, for this particular application, now I can't speak as confidently about corking or anything, but this I have the utmost confidence in, is hooking that leech just behind that sucker on the blunt end. There's a pointed end of the leech and then there's more of a blunted end of the leech. If this leech, when you go to cast it and you go cast on a fish and he gets hooked twice where he's kind of gumballed up on your hook, you can almost guarantee that you are not going to get a bite on that leech. They have to be looking as natural and ribbon-like as possible. Just think of like a ribbon floating in the air in a breeze. You want it to look like that, and that's how you want it to move through the water column. So if it doesn't look like that, even though it's live bait and he's gumballed up, they're not going to eat it. They want that bait looking as natural and lifelike as possible. Yup. There we go, hooked up again. It's amazing how much damage you can do with just one single hook and a piece of live bait. With live imaging, I just don't even target small fish anymore, really. As crazy as that sounds. Ooh, because big fish are fun. It sounds so crazy, but it's the truth. Another nice walleye. I love fishing bass, I love fishing muskies, but every once in a while, I gotta come out and do this. One of the top 3 big northern predators in the North Country, right here. Let's see if I can just grab this one. Yeah, just a classic, beautiful representation of, we got her tangled up in the drop shot here a little bit. Let me just get her unhooked real quickly. Look at that, pinned right where it's supposed to be. Never gonna come off. That red line is a strong hook right there. Just that one little hook and you can just have unbelievable results. Just a great specimen. Leech Lake gold. Do this anywhere walleyes live too. This isn't just a, oh, sorry buddy. This isn't just a thing you can do out here on Leech Lake. It's like if there's walleyes around your neck of the woods, I mean, this is something that will catch them. Yeah, it's a bass tactic, but holy smokes does it work well for fishing walleyes, because with a 3/4 ounce weight, fishing around anywhere between 20 to 30 feet of water, I could arguably put more baits on more fish than any other way I've been able to in the past. Jigging Rap's the second closest, I think, because Jigging Rap will fall fast too, but I can get a real fast sense as to what's going on in any particular body of water when it comes to fishing walleyes with a drop shot and a leech. I can put so many baits on so many fish in a short amount of time that, yeah, okay, yeah, they're biting. No, they're not biting today. I can move on, or I can switch baits, or I can go to a different lake, or whatever it might be. I'm just able to really gauge so fast what fish are doing. I mean, there's just so many fish that I have caught that I would normally never have caught Would have never even thought to like throw my bait over there because it looks like it's out in the middle of the lake when I'm fishing a structure over here. And I look over with you know, with LiveScope, and I see, well, there's a big one sitting out over 40 feet of water, 10 feet down. It opens your eyes to so much more than what I ever thought was possible. Eat it. Oh, he ate it. My cork just went down. He hammered it. Did you get the cork going down? Oh. Oh, of course I wasn't on the line. I was pointed the LiveScope away from it so he couldn't. I was just trying to be sneaky. Look at that. Nice. Beautiful. Look at that. It's a beautiful walleye. There we go. It's about a 16th ounce. Almost like a little crappie jig. Nothing more, nothing less. So I did see a little school of them out in front of me, and I tossed on them. And then I actually turned the LiveScope away from them. So there was a little school of them. We slid up on a break here, and there was a school of fish. There was, you know, there's only a couple, 2, 3 of them. Oh, come on, right yourself. There she goes. And she got me all soaking wet. I pitched the cork out. They're about 50 feet. I pitched the cork out on them. And then I knew, like, with LiveScope, I see it go down, and it was within their vicinity. So I just turned the LiveScope off of them and then just waited and just watched the cork, and that thing just went. That was the result of it right there. But I'm trying to catch one more, and I'll show you how I go about doing it. There's a few little nuances to it, but I mean, really, it's as simple as like when you used to go bluegill fishing as a little kid. We'll see if we can't catch one more. Look at that. Look at them, 2 of them coming over to it. Oh, there's one coming from the bottom. Coming up, coming up, coming up. Boom, he grabbed it. That is so crazy. Oh man, and we were sitting right on top of them. That's another big fish. It's another nice one. Not a giant, but just solid. Look at that. Sun's coming out, and it looks like the wind is laying down even more, which is making me a little nervous. But it's really turning out to be quite a great day. You really just never know. You just kind of have to go. You can barometric pressure this, moonrise that, but until you just get out and start putting baits on fish, that's the real testament. That little leech coming right out of his kisser. It's a nice fish. Let this one go. We really haven't found a good school of eaters, but that's where this cork really does wonders, is if you're actually looking for fish for the pan, you can find nice little schools of eater walleyes. These are a little bit on the bigger side, but we'll see if we can't find some smaller fish. Have ourselves a little fish fry tonight. He's on it. He's got it. Great eating walleye right there. So I have condensed my bobber setup a little bit here. And as you saw earlier, I was fishing this at like 6 to 8 feet down. So with that, the beginning of the whole system starts with this little bobber stop. The line style goes through your guides better, so when you're targeting deeper fish, it kind of sails through the guides better. Then you never want to forget your bead. Your bead then rests. Once everything comes to rest in the water, you can see how that bead stops the knot from going through your bobber. That is probably the most critical part of that, is don't forget your bead. And then aside from your bobber, you come down. This is a slip float, slip bobber, line runs through it. And then from there, you have some sort of weight. Now, this is what I would use for a little Texas rig weight. I like the little pointed end, right? It comes through the weeds better. But what it does is, because this is the heaviest part of the system, this falls first. Your leech is wiggly and swimming down. They tend to fall right in line with this. So having this line transition right to a pointed bobber, this sheds any tanglement that might happen versus the other way around. It's easier to get tangled up if your line is, or if your weight is upside down, or if you have some other style of weight, such as a split shot. Even a split shot, you can tend to twist around your split shots. Because the worst thing you can possibly have is you make your cast and your hook and your leech get wound around up here. Well, now your bait looks really bad and it's just a tangled town and you're not down where the fish actually are. So I find that the little Texas rig weight, this is just a little tungsten VMC, 1/4 ounce. You can use 1/8 ounce depending on how deep you're targeting fish. And then from there, you have a little barrel swivel. That's just a little finesse VMC barrel swivel. It's just like I don't know what size that is. It's about the smallest one they make. And then from there, it's just an 8-pound shank of Suffix fluorocarbon to the jig head. I won't go much shorter than about a foot from here. Then I'll put a new shank of fluoro on there just to give this jig head a little bit of distance from my weight. So that's the system. Along with the jig head, you could use like a bare hook on a leech, but once that bare hook is just falling, that leech tends to wander before it actually hits its final resting point. So this just eliminates tangle with that little 1/16 ounce jig. That kind of gets the leech where it's supposed to be and kind of keeps them put. So in conclusion, as you can see, tomorrow might be different, but today, the leech / drop shot bobber tactic probably worked the best, I would say. But that's not to say like tomorrow I couldn't catch them on moving baits or something on the lines of a jigging wrap or a swim bait or anything like that. But that guy right there is also, the jigging wrap. That is a great bait. For those of you that have maybe not fished the jigging shadow wrap, it is, you can see, fairly similar to the jigging wrap. Right there, that's a number 7. This will fall a bit slower. It's got a little bit different fall, not as aggressive as the original. And it's got a couple split rings on here, which helps a lot in minimizing torque. It's a good hooker. It catches fish open water and off the bottom. You can hang this vertically and just fish it right underneath the boat and catch walleyes with it. You can see it's missing the front hook. This also helps in the snag factor. I feel like you can fish this bait a little more clean on the bottom versus the jigging wrap with the hook on the nose. These baits tend to fall fairly nose forward. So without the hook on the front, that helps with eliminating a few snags and lost lures. So this is a great bait for, like I said, at the shallower water, and then the little original is great for a little bit deeper. That right there is a little teeny tiny flicker shad. I like throwing these around fish that are suspended up in the water column. I'll snip this off and replace this with like a swim bait or a jerk bait as well, but this is just what I happen to have tied on today. That's a great little bait for targeting those fish out over deeper water, those suspended type fish. Like I said, the jerk bait or the swim bait, also very good options. And these are by far some of my favorite ways to just go after walleyes, whether they're on the bottom or up suspended near the surface.